It is 5:30, and I'm going to call this meeting to order. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, council members, city officials, and our streaming audience. Welcome to the November 13th, 2024 City Council regular meeting. We are meeting at 26 South Paint Street, Chiillicothe, and I would ask the clerk to call the roll.
Bennett,
Here.
Payne,
Here.
Nickerson,
Here.
Barnes,
Here.
McKeever,
Here.
Dement,
Here.
Preston,
Here.
Prohl, Creed.
Here.
Councilman Prohl let me know that he might have a conflict tonight. Is there a motion to excuse him from this meeting? Mr. Dement, second by Mr. McKeever, and I would ask the clerk to call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Mr. Prohl is excused. Would Mr. Dement lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The minutes from the October 28th regular meeting have been distributed. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes? Mr. Barnes, seconded by Mr. McKeever. The clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Minutes are approved. Moving on to reports of committees. Development Committee, Mr. Dement.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Development has one item on tonight's agenda, which is the first reading of a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with a construction manager at risk firm to oversee the development of the new Chiillicothe Park improvements. At the appropriate time, I will make a motion to amend the language by adding emergency language to this resolution. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Engineering Committee, Mr. Barnes.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Engineering doesn't have anything on the agenda tonight. We also have nothing to report, and we've had no committee meetings or assignments. So, thank you.
Thank you. Finance Technology Committee, Mr. Prohl is not here. Is there anyone from that committee that has any information to provide to council? Hearing none, we'll now move on to the Human Resources Committee. Ms. Payne.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Human Resources we have one item on the agenda this evening. Item number 1, it's at a third read. It's an ordinance amending section 151.02 of the codified ordinance of the city of Chiillicothe, Ohio, titled Court Personnel, and appropriating funds for the remainder of the 2024 year. And this is for a custodial-maintenance position, a full-time position for the court. I'd appreciate support on that this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Parks and Rec Committee, Ms. Nickerson.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Parks and Rec has nothing on the agenda tonight, and we've had no assignments recently, so nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Safety Service Committee, Mr. Creed.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. We have two items on the agenda tonight, items 2 and 3. They're both at their third reading. One is reallocating capital funds, $18,000 in the fire department to pay for Opticom equipment and declare an emergency. And the other one is accepting and appropriating $1,000 for the fire department's senior home inspection program. So I would appreciate a yes vote on those when that comes up. We do have one item that we'll forward to the law director's office, and this is to accept the SVAA grant for $2,709 and the VOCA grant for $34,000 and appropriate for the Chiillicothe Municipal Courts. Earlier this year, back in June, we did approve the matching funds for that already, But like I said, that will go forward to the Law Director's Office for legislation. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Utilities Committee, Mr. McKeever.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Utilities has nothing on the agenda tonight. Would like to announce a Utilities Committee meeting on November 25th at 5:15 p.m. This is in reference to assignment 24096, which is a request to allow easement at the wastewater treatment plant. Thank you.
Thank you. City Service Committee, Ms. Preston.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. City Services has nothing on the agenda tonight and nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Community Affairs Committee, Ms. Bennett.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. We have 3 items tonight on the agenda. Number 4, the third reading of the ordinance appropriating additional funds for the PY23 CDBG grant and declaring it an emergency. I hope we have support for that tonight. Number 5 is the ordinance providing an agreement between the City of Chiillicothe and the Ross County Commissioners, where we will continue eligibility of 2025 state reimbursement of the cost incurred of appointing council. And on number 10, once again, support for that. And number 10, the resolution denouncing and condemning all forms of hate, intolerance, discrimination, and racism in the City of Chiillicothe. And we would like to waive the third reading and vote on that tonight. That's into my report.
Thank you. There are no city officials here, it appears, for any reports from them, so we'll move to audience participation. Any person wishing to address the council must first provide his or her name and address. Comments shall be limited to 5 minutes, and I will give you a warning when there is 1 minute remaining. Is there any participation from the audience?
Okay, all right. My name is Janet Griffith. I live at 603 Comanche Road. I'm here in favor of the park. And I'm also here, I spoke 2 weeks ago. I told you what I had seen on the October 22nd meeting, what my husband had seen, what I had taped. And I want you to be aware that some of the changes that they're making to the park, we need to put some input into, the public does. I asked for a public meeting at that time, and I have not heard one to be scheduled. And I do prefer not to have a review session. That's not long enough. I'd like for the citizens of Chiillicothe to be invited to a meeting where they show the plans. I understand the plans that I saw were just preliminary plans, and that I saw plans today, in fact, that were different a little bit. But we still have some things that we need to resolve in this. I'm going to have my friend give you papers to what a park is by Webster's Dictionary, by my Alexa at home. And then I'm president of Save Yaktangi Park from 2000 when we kept the Paint Stadium out of the park. That organization is still alive, and we are the ones that are going to be kind of wanting to have our say about what's going on in the park. Should have been done a long time ago. This should have been an open thing for the public, not gotten this far, because when it gets so far, just like you're wanting to hire a contractor already, which the developer of the plans that was from Indiana spoke, and he said this is premature, but they're going to do it anyway because they want his help in planning the rest of the park. But once you hire him, then I hope the plans aren't set in stone, because we should have some input. So the council is elected by the citizens. You are supposed to be our representatives to the to the council president and to the mayor on how we feel. So each one of you probably has an obligation to your citizens to make sure that they know about this and that they have some input. Everybody's going to have different input, and that's fine, but let's hear it. So anyway, that's all I have to say, and I hope you read what a park is, because in some of the plans that we have seen, we need to improve upon what it says a park is. In fact, I want to say one thing. A park is not for business. It's not to run a business out of. That's should not be done with our park. And what they're planning for the event center up on top of the Armory is a business, and it is a large volume business. It's going to take a lot of the parking spaces, and that's why they're having to increase parking around Enderlin Circle to parallel parking on both sides with a road running both ways, a two-way traffic. That's like putting 2nd Street around Enderlin Circle there. So, and that's why they have to do it, because they're short on parking for these high events. So I would suggest that in redesigning, that somebody suggests to them that they find something else to do with the top of that Armory and make it beautiful. It should be restored, but put something up there that's not such high volume. So, and I guess that's all I have to say right now. So I would thank you for your consideration in trying to get a public meeting booked. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Mary Ann Fairbairn. I live at 261 Fairway Avenue, apartment 1. I'm not into politics or anything, and Janet's got me and started getting me involved. My husband and I moved down here 25 years ago. My husband's deceased, but it was a temporary move. We stayed because of the community, the park. We have family members that came down to visit, and they always comment on the park, the Octangie Park, how nice it is that there's a park off downtown. By building stuff in it, like an amphitheater, I'm from Toledo area. Several years before we moved, they had built Maumee Bay State Park. They put an amphitheater in it, never used. My husband was in with choral groups. They sang there maybe twice. And nobody from the park or the community came to the, it was only family members that showed up for the performances. What are the plans? What are you going to have put in the amphitheater? I feel it's a waste of money. You have a beautiful bandstand that's never used. You have the stage behind the Y that's never used. What is the amphitheater there for? I think it's just a waste of money because it's going to stand there empty, like the bandstand and the stage. You know, Chiillicothe has become a family to George. Well, when George and he was alive. We moved from Toledo for a reason. And we found a community that's not just a community. It's become family. It had become family to us, you know, with our church group and other things. And by doing the stuff that you're planning on in the park, it's going to destroy the park and the community and family atmosphere. You have a lot of empty, vacant buildings in the downtown area that is basically blight on the city. A lot of that stuff could be renovated and used for those purposes. Like the pavilion. Well, you have a lot of vacant buildings downtown that are blight on the city. I mean, I work for a charitable organization, and we have people come in weekly, and we have people, I mean, many of them saying they're homeless. Why aren't we using the money for homes to shelter people? I think it's mismanagement on the part of the city to build this. And I know with the UNESCO, well, the UNESCO, that isn't going to attract the people. What is what the city looks like, what your homeless population is going to, they're going to look at that. You got to rethink of how you are going to be spending your money. You have to beautify the downtown area. Get rid of the blight. Use the buildings. I'm just utterly frustrated with, and like I said, I don't get political, but I never even voted until we moved down here. And I was in my late 30s. So, and with Janet, I started just driving her around, and now she's got me involved in everything. So blame it on her.
I would like to address your
Thank you.
confusion that we received a tremendous amount of grant money for the, and there are regulations, and you have to be specific, and they are very specific on how we spend that money. The city actually went through a tremendous public engagement with a comprehensive plan.
But did the public have it?
A tremendous amount. It was well advertised. A lot of people attended. The amphitheater and a lot of the ideas are all pulled from what the community wanted. And so we received this grant money. We can return it or we can improve the park. But it's specific to the park.
I didn't do anything to maybe go about this park.
Well, we just received the grant money. We just got the award. And actually, Chiillicothe has received the biggest amount in Ohio. And this all comes from the state. So it's not mismanaged. It has to be managed very specifically, or we lose that funding.
To me, you're going to destroy the park, not beautify.
Okay.
Deidre, can I jump in? So the Choose Chiillicothe Committee was formed about 2.5 years ago, and it included 35 different people throughout our community, different demographics from all wards. And I ended up being one of the co-chairs on that committee. And we looked at all kinds of things throughout the community, and the park was one part of it, the downtown, and all areas of the city. It wasn't just the park. We engaged multiple occasions with different people throughout the community. We brought people in to determine what was important, what people wanted to see. There were hundreds of people involved in that process, with the culmination at one of the first Thursdays. They did an event where they had people just walking up and grabbed as many people as we could as they walked up and got more engagement. So there was probably between 500 and 1,000 people that had input into this plan. Now, the plan did not include the pavilion, and the plan did not include the separate visitor center. But it did include all the other parts that are part of that award. So I agree with Janet that we should have a public meeting on this, whether it be a review session, a public meeting, I don't care, to make sure that the parts that haven't been vetted through the community are vetted as we keep moving through the process. And I think that's important that we do that. So I think we agree that we need to continue to vet that money. It can't be spent anywhere else. We can't spend it downtown. We can't spend it on other things. It was very particular on how it was set up. But a lot of that, even though not everybody, not all 22,000 people in our city got to voice their opinion on it, we did have hundreds, if not thousands of people provide input into that plan. But like I said, it did not include the pavilion, did not include the visitor center. So we still need to continue to make sure that we get that public input to make the right decisions as a council and as a city. So I agree with that part of it. The plan. I have not received a hard copy of the plan. That was the Choose Chiillicothe. That was well before. This was a year ago, 2 years ago. That was different events. We did it at the service center. We did multiple events at the service center. They did online engagement. We were providing input. Correct. Right, and then there was a plan that was put up at the first Thursday that people looked at and provided input back on. And that was, it was at a first Thursday, it was August. No. I'm talking about well before that, because that Choose Chiillicothe plan was used to, as part of one of the documents that they used to apply for the grant. So, but that was probably 2022 or 2023.
People say yes to it. They're going to ask me if I all that up and all that they realize what there's always there's good.
Well, I agree. I understand. And that's why we need to continue the public meetings, because there were a number of public meetings that got us to this point, but we need to continue those public meetings. So I agree with you on that we need to have a public meeting to further discuss it before we finalize all the plans in this process.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. Thank you very much. We appreciate the input. Moving next to old business. Is there any old business to come before council? Hearing none. Are there any petitions or correspondence received by the clerk?
Yes, President Shoemaker, give me just a moment to pull it up. I have someone who reached out to the City Council Facebook page just with an informational, he asked me to share. So I'm going to do that. Just a moment. Johnny Branham sent a message to the Facebook page. He has finished up contract painting murals for the state of Ohio inside offices and buildings. He now lives here and wanted to propose something to the city. He would like to come and speak and bring some of his information to share with you on his murals that he's done and talk to you about all of that. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll figure out how to get back with the administration and see if they can contact him and talk with him about that.
I did invite him to the meetings. I let him know when they are and invited him this evening specifically as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. Is there any new business to come before council? Hearing none, we'll move on to the reading of ordinances and resolutions.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. We have 12 items on our agenda this evening. Item number 1 is the third reading of an ordinance amending section 151.02 of the codified ordinances of the city of Chiillicothe, Ohio, titled Court Personnel, and appropriating funds for the remainder of 2024.
Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted. Next ordinance.
Item number 2 is the third reading of an ordinance reallocating funds in the amount of $18,000 to pay for the fire department opticom equipment and declaring an emergency.
Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Next ordinance.
Item number 3 is the third reading of an ordinance accepting and appropriating funds in the amount of $1,000 for the fire department's senior home inspection program.
Ordinance is adopted. Next ordinance. Probably ought to vote, shouldn't we? Well,
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
I got ahead of myself because one of the other ordinances would have probably dispensed with the need to do that is on here. So we'll move to the next ordinance. That ordinance is adopted.
Item number 4 is the third reading of an ordinance appropriating additional funds for the PY23 CDBG grant and declaring an emergency.
Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. The next ordinance.
Item number 5 is the third reading of an ordinance providing for an agreement between the City of Chiillicothe, Ohio, and the Ross County Commissioners, whereby the City of Chiillicothe, Ohio, will continue to be eligible through 2025 for state reimbursement of cost incurred in appointing counsel for indigent criminal defense.
Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Next ordinance.
Item number 6 is the third reading of an ordinance appropriating $17,723.69 for payment of an outstanding ODOT invoice and declaring an emergency.
Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Next ordinance.
Item number 7 is a third reading of an ordinance to approve current replacement pages to the Chiillicothe codified ordinances and declaring an emergency.
Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Next ordinance.
Item number 8 is the second reading of an ordinance authorizing the City of Chiillicothe to automatically accept and appropriate insurance reimbursements, grants, donations, and other funds received for a specific purpose and in an amount under $10,000 and declaring an emergency.
The ordinance will move to the next agenda.
Item number 9 is the second reading of an ordinance appropriating funds for various end-of-year expenses and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance will move to the next agenda.
Item number 10 is the second reading of a resolution denouncing and condemning all forms of hate, intolerance, discrimination, and racism in the City of Chiillicothe, Ohio.
President Shoemaker, I'd like to waive the third reading for this motion since this has been waiting.
Second by Ms. Payne. The clerk will call the roll relative to the waiver of the 3-read rule.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
The 3-read rule is waived. The clerk will now call the roll relative to the ordinance.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
That resolution is adopted. Next resolution.
Item number 11 is the first reading of a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a cooperative purchasing program with the Equalis Group and declaring an emergency.
The resolution will move to the next agenda. Next resolution.
Number 12 is a first reading of a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with a construction manager at risk firm to oversee the development of the new Yaktangi Park improvements.
President Shoemaker, at this time, I would like to make a motion to amend the language by adding emergency language to this resolution, please.
Accept the motion and a second by Mr. Creed. So the clerk will call the roll relative to the motion to amend.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
The resolution is amended and will move to the next agenda. Is there any other business come before council? Hearing none, I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Ms. Preston, second by Ms. Bennett. The clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Creed.
Yes.
We are adjourned.